Chronologist Wizard is considered by many to be the most broken subclass in Dungeons and Dragons. But why? Other than a few exclusive spells, it's not completely different than, say, War Wizard, which is alright on its own. However, this may be the case in Tier 1 and Tier 2, but everything changes in Tier 3. At level 10, you get what might be the strongest ability in Dungeons and Dragons, Arcane Abeyance. In this guide, I will show you all the insane ways you can use it to absolutely blow your encounters out of water. But first, let me explain the layout of this guide. First, we learn what Arcane Abeyance does. Second, we learn some of the good standalone spells it can use. Third, we get into some combos. And lastly, into some tech. So let's get into it. Also, if you like this content, please like and subscribe, as it enables me to do more. Also, I have a D&D blog, which you can see below. If you'd like to support me even more, please subscribe. It'll definitely go a long way. Arcane Abeyance. At 10th level, when you cast a spell using a spell slot of 4th level or lower, you can condense the spell's magic into a mote. The spell is frozen in time at the moment of casting and held within a gray bead for 1 hour. This bead is a tiny object with an AC of 15, 1 hit point, and is immune to poison and psychic damage. When the duration ends, or if the bead is destroyed, it vanishes in a flash of light and the spell is lost. A creature holding the bead can use its action to release the spell within, whereupon the bead disappears. The spell uses your spell attack bonus and save DC, and the spell treats the creature who released it as a caster for all other purposes. Once you create a bead with this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a short or long rest. So there's 2 major things that this ability does. One, it allows you to double your concentration, which means that you can cast this spell and then have a familiar or someone else use another concentration spell. In this game, concentration spells are quite powerful, so just being able to double the amount of concentration spells you can use is major. Second, it subverts the casting time of particular spells. So certain spells have a casting time of 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and because of how this ability is written, you can cast them instantly instead of having to wait that 10 minutes. This allows you to use certain spells, which we'll see soon, in a way that wasn't possible before. However, be aware of its limitations. It can be attacked. That is something that could happen. A monster could attack and destroy it. 2, it lasts 1 hour, which means that you should expect combat within that hour or the spell is wasted. So if you're a DM, these are the ways to deal with it. Granted, they're not the most enjoyable ways to subvert this ability. Okay, so let's look at some effects and abilities that are exclusive to Arcane Abeyance, mainly because of their action time. You can use them instantly here compared to any other wizard who would have to wait 10 minutes or so. Tiny Hunt. A 10-foot radius, a mobile dome of force springs into existence around and above you and remains stationary for the duration. Spell ends if you leave its area. 9 creatures of medium size or smaller can fit inside the dome with you. The spell fails if its area includes a larger creature or more than 9 creatures. Creatures and objects within the dome when you cast the spell can move through it freely. All other creatures and objects are barred from passing through it. Spells and other magical effects can't be extended through the dome or be cast through it. The atmosphere inside the space is comfortable and dry, regardless of the weather outside. Until the spell ends, you can command the interior to become dimly lit or dark. The dome is opaque from the outside of any color you choose, but is transparent from the inside. So This is mostly a spell commonly known to allow players quick and safe access to resting. However, because we can cast it during combat, it becomes an insane defensive nightmare for our opponents. I think the best way to compare it would be to Rope Trick. Rope Trick is one of the best defensive spells in D&D, but using Tiny Hut in such a way like this, we have something similar to Rope Trick, but we're a lot more mobile in our ability to move in and out from it. This is a massive advantage. Granted, there are some creature effects that can hit you through it, as its limitation is spells and other magical effects can't extend to the dome or be cast through it. That doesn't include monster effects that are non-magical. Key example is Dragon's Breath, but in a lot of cases, you are an insane advantage once you cast this down. Private Sanctum. You make an area within range magically secure. The area is a cube that can be as small as 5 feet or as large as 100 feet on each side. The spell lasts for the duration or until you use an action to dismiss it. When you cast the spell, you decide what source of security the spell provides, choosing any or all the following properties. Sound can't pass through the barrier at the edge of the warded area. The barrier of the warded area appears dark and foggy, preventing vision, including dark vision, through it. Sensors created by divination spells can't appear inside the protected area or pass through the barrier as perimeter. Creatures in the area can't be targeted by divination spells. Nothing can teleport in or out of the warded area. Planar travel is blocked within the warded area. Casting this spell on the same spot every day makes the effect permanent. What's powerful here is we can negate teleportation and planar travel. That's important because a monster usually locked in by a wall of force and being hit with sickening radiance or the like. Generally, one way to overcome that is through teleportation. But if you have this up, once you start a microwave, they can't escape. And that's the end for them. Let's talk about some combos. Most of the combos dedicated to Arcane Abeyance and why it's so strong are something called microwaves. The microwaves represent a combination of two things. One, an AoE control spell, such as Wall of Force, and a AoE damage spell that can be combined with it. So how we do this with Arcane Abeyance is we're just basically taking advantage of our ability to double our concentration via a familiar or something like a tiny servant. So let's talk about the traditional example, Wall of Force and Sickening Radiance. You cast Sickening Radiance and you cast Wall of Force, locks a monster or a group of monsters in. They can't escape, then they're dead. Additionally, you have to remember, you have to cast Sickening Radiance before you use Wall of Force. It means that if you have to cast Wall of Force first, just ready it to the point of where you've cast Sickening Radiance. It's pretty simple and very powerful tactic. Sickening Radiance and Sleet Storm. Again, Sickening Radiance must be casted first. This is a great one for dealing with larger areas of effect, as it creates a very powerful death zone where the monster's not only getting a chance to take lots of damage and get exhaustion, they also are halved in movement and have a chance of tripping. If they spend too much time here, they are likely to die. This is a very good crowd control combo, so try it out when you're dealing with large numbers of opponents. Private Sanctum and Maze. So Private Sanctum negates planar travel. Let's look at Maze. You banish a creature within range into a labyrinthine dimming plane. The target remains there for the duration or until it escapes the maze. The target can use its action to attempt to escape. When it does so, it makes a DC 20 intelligence check. If it succeeds, it escapes, and the spell ends. A Minotaur or Garstro demon automatically succeeds. The spell ends, the target reappears in the space it left, or if that space is occupied, in the nearest unoccupied space. If you look at the definition of planar travel, this does actually include the definition of what maze is doing. This meaning if you maze someone and then you use private sanctum, they can't teleport back, as it's not occupying the space, and maze does hit the definition of both teleportation and planar travel. This is extremely powerful. Once you get it, you can yeet monsters into a dimension, and if they can't planar travel, they're gone. So that's it for this video. In part 2, we will be dealing with all the crazy tech. We'll have multiple infinite combos and some stuff that's too insane to even talk about here. Hope you stay tuned. Also remember to like and subscribe, and if you want to support further, subscribe to my blog. See you guys later.